Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning into episode, I don't know, of the WP Roundtable. This is an extra special episode. I'm your host, Kyle Maurer, and I'm joined by a guest who is more special than your average special guest. Extra special, we'll say, Mr. Nathan Driver. Thanks for joining me, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
It's really exciting to have you on this show. And after a quick false start, I'll revisit my story. I was coming to WordCamp Jackson, which is where we are today, and I knew I had every intention of recording an episode of this show live on premises, which I've never done in the history of this show. And I couldn't decide who was going to be the perfect guest for me, and I thought about it, and then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I've got Nathan Driver here. There's nobody else I even am going to consider. So I'm really excited to have you with me on the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's quite a pleasure. You just got done with your talk.
I did.
What'd you talk about?
Schema, SEO, my favorite.
That's a cool topic. I know a lot of people were excited about that. Like, that was one of the big draws on our schedule. Nathan Driver talking about schema.
Well, that was good. Yeah, we had some good participation. Schema can be kind of intense because it's a lot of code.
Yeah, it is. I'm quite confident that talk alone sold some tickets for us. And we talked about it at the meetup on Tuesday, and we did a show and tell, and my show and tell was just to say, put together the schedule for WordCamp, and some people were like, I haven't bought my ticket yet, but what's this schema talk?
Ooh.
Yeah, well, I sung your praises, and
thank you.
they're here today, so great job. You came all the way from Dayton, Ohio.
I did. I think I might be the only Ohio person in Michigan today.
No, that is not even close to correct.
Oh.
Alex and Megan are here from Ohio, and Tim O'Haver from Columbus, and Greg from Toledo, and another guy I met, David, I think, from also Toledo. And he
Toledo
brought
doesn't
other
count.
Toledo.
That's Michigan.
Is it? Okay. All right. Yeah, and Alex brought a few other people, his project manager. Should I go on? I don't know.
No. Oh, okay. I get the point.
Your boys are here.
My boys are here.
Yep.
Yes. And
Yeah, boys.
and this venue has been fantastic.
Do you like
they
this
love
place?
it. It's laid back. My 13-year-old and 5-year-old, they can just kind of sit back, relax. Great internet connection. It's perfect.
I'm glad you like it. We're here at the Consumers Energy Innovation Center in downtown Jackson, and I appreciate this place too. And I've been to a lot of WordCamps. You've been to your fair share as well, and they're often at like the college campus and in classrooms, or maybe at some sort of a convention center or something. But I like this kind of co-working space setting. This works really well. It feels like a modern tech environment. I feel inspired here, and I also just love being at one corner of the WordCamp and be able to see everything from, because we're just on one very enclosed floor.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been to all these WordCamps, and a lot of them have been kind of spaced out. And this is, I think this is the first one that kind of forces us to say, "Hey, how you doing? What do you do?
How you doing?" Yeah. So you brought your two sons.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is their first WordCamp?
It is.
No kidding.
It is.
Wow.
I've been involved with WordPress and WordCamp Dayton for a number of years, and so they've always been kind of involved with it.
Yeah.
But as soon as I mentioned, "Hey, why don't you come to the conference?" they kind of shied away from it. But I told them, "Hey, it's in Michigan. I don't know what it is." It was that draw.
Wow. No
Yeah.
kidding. Okay.
Yeah.
So they were excited to come.
Yes.
Yeah.
As was I.
Yeah. They didn't know there was going to be popcorn and cookies and.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do. I didn't actually know there was going to be popcorn and cookies, to be honest. Our snacks volunteer has done a pretty good job, I think, all around.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy. So this has been fun. I want to go back because this is special for me to chat with you now because we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
You were one of the first friends that I ever made in the WordPress community.
Oh,
like way back in the day. You've been doing this for longer than I have, the WordCamp scene. Just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So one of your first WordCamps that you organized was one of the first that I wasn't going to go there with this story. It was one of the first that I attended. Maybe the third WordCamp that I ever went to was WordCamp Dayton.
Oh, okay.
2014 maybe.
Yeah.
In the spring.
Yep.
You had Corey Miller do the keynote.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was
I
good.
still watch that every so often.
Yeah, that just push publish. That speech. Yep, that was good. I made some friends there. I got to meet a lot of people. I got to meet you and some people who are still friends, Ricky Messick and Seth Alling and Mark Benzakine I met
Yeah.
there, and yeah, a bunch of others. It was a great experience. We did do the whole drive there and back in one day, which it wasn't good.
Yeah, and I just want to publicly say thank you
Yeah.
for encouraging me to come up last night, and just gracious for Steve Bennett to kind of let me stay
I
at
didn't
his
ask,
camp.
like, how was it last night?
Oh, it was fantastic.
it?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it was a great setup. Kids loved it, and they passed out once I turned the light off. So it was nice. They got to sleep. I couldn't ask for anything better.
Awesome.
And Steve is such a great guy.
He's all right. Yeah.
I mean, he's no Kyle, but you know.
No, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. We got to know each other. One of these days I'll have Steve on the show, because that would be an interesting conversation, and in a somewhat of a similar way, because it's fun to have people on the show that I have a history with,
Yep.
and you and I have a history. We've done things together, things like this show.
Yeah,
In fact,
it's intimate.
I've been doing this show now for 4.5 years,
Nice.
pretty consistently, and I have had a guest every episode, and I've never repeated a guest.
Wow.
To my knowledge, I'm not aware of a show like in our space who has interviewed more unique, different guests. There's a few shows who've had more episodes, but
Yeah.
I've never repeated anybody, and I've really enjoyed this opportunity to talk to so many different people in the community. You were involved with this show when we started. You remember that?
No.
You don't
No, y'all-
remember that?
Oh, okay. Yes.
You do
Yes. I had to think back. It was with Brian Redder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Jason
Now-
Crawford in
Yes.
Columbia
Yes.
approached me with the idea. Or no, he put it out somehow. I don't remember the details.
Yeah,
He
I
said
don't
he
know how
wanted
we
it.
all connected.
He said to me, anybody interested in doing this show with me? And I was at the time like on the lookout. Like I feel like I want to do more. I want to get involved
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah.
I'm starting to get the bug.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm on board. Let's do it. So he started the show with a couple other people in Columbia that were friends of his, but they could only make a couple episodes. And I was like, I've got some friends that just made
Yeah.
Nate and Brian from
Yeah.
Dayton, Ohio. They're super cool. And so you guys both joined us on the show, and at the time we weren't doing guest interviews.
Right.
We were picking a topic every episode.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Each of us trying to share our spiel on it.
God. Wow. Yeah. I'm going back
it is
now.
coming
Yeah.
back.
It's all flooding back.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Good times.
It was so that's why the show was called WP Roundtable,
Yeah.
it was a better name for the show at the time. Now it kind of sucks as a name, but I'm just sticking with it.
But you've kept the tradition.
I guess, yeah. There's something to be said for that. But at the time, it was a roundtable discussion about a topic every Monday.
Yeah.
And you would jump on, and Brian and Jason, and we did. I don't know how many. Maybe we did 10 episodes.
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Eventually, things started to change. I think I started to get really into booking guests,
Yes.
and I started doing a lot of that.
You took the initiative, and I was just. It was too much for me at that time. I don't know
Yeah.
what I think I was developing and at an agency, and it was my workload was too
pretty
much,
tough,
and I was
yeah.
like, I couldn't put the same energy that you had into it, and so
Yeah.
I'm glad you.
You guys actually,
kept it up.
you started another show.
We tried to. I think we went 2 episodes.
I think we
and we were
did.
like, we can't do this.
Yeah.
I got too much work. We can't. There's no way.
There are still a couple episodes of WP Decoded up on
wow,
YouTube.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, from back in 2014 summer.
Oh my God. Wow, that's going back.
Yeah.
Feels like a lifetime. It's only 2018.
I know. It's not that long. It does really feel like it was way, way back there.
It does, but yeah, you're right. It was every Monday night, I think it was, and we always had notes and interviews, and
Yep. Yeah.
that was-
That was fun. Yeah, and
Wow.
I started to get really into interviewing guests because I very much enjoyed that, and I was getting into the community a lot more too. So I was starting to build a lot of these relationships, and like, oh well, I just met Rebecca Gill and Topher DeRocha and all these other people that we had on our early episodes. And so the next thing I know, I was like reaching out to a ton of people and booking weeks and months in advance. Lots of
Yeah.
people, and there were some other people that were in and out of the show who weren't as into that format as I was, and we weren't really talking about it that much.
Right.
Who were like, I'd rather talk about topics. And so I have, over the course of this time, had a lot of different co-hosts. You were just like one of the first.
You're right.
Like in the single digit episodes.
Yeah.
And after that, I don't even, now I've lost count how many people. It's been a couple of years since I had any co-host at all on the show. And
Well, to be honest, you're a one-man show. You have a lot of energy, and it's very difficult to keep up. You're tremendous in what you're always looking to learn more. You're always willing to bring new people on here. So it's very difficult to have someone have that same energy.
sure, yeah. Well, thank you for that good feedback. Yeah. Well, it's been fun, and this show's not about this show. But I thought it was fun to stroll down memory lane a little bit, and just having you on here makes me think about how I've gotten to this point in this show, which is frankly not a show that I think very much about. It's now just like it's a part of my routine. Like every Monday night, I stop working at a certain time and I go and just interview. Like, oh, who am I talking to today? Oh, cool. And I talk with them for an hour, and then I don't think about it again. And about 4 times a year, I book out the next 3 months. With guests.
Bad.
So it's like really kind of easy, low maintenance, and fun. An opportunity for me to get to know everybody in this community a little bit better, which I love.
Yeah.
But it's so like low effort and thoughtless on my part, basically, that time passes and I look back and it's like, whoa, that was a long time ago, or how did I end up at this point? But it's been cool. Anyway, I want to talk more about you, Nate, and especially like what you've been up to in these recent years, because we hung out a lot in the first year or two, 2014, 2015. You know, I came to your camps, you came to mine.
There was that span where Columbus, Kent, Ann Arbor, it was just nonstop.
Right, in North Canton back at the time.
North Canton, so there were some great work camps, and there still are. It's just, 2014, 2015 was some good times.
It really was. Yeah. When were you really getting started? Like, because you were helping organize a word camp when I was like kind of discovering word camps.
Right.
So what was before that?
It was just meetups. It was just trying to get, what is this community about?
14 was the first date?
Yes, okay. 14 was the first one. It was, and we had just started to meet up in 13.
Okay.
Or maybe 12, late 12.
Yeah, 12 is when we started here. I was here in Jackson.
Yeah, it was myself and Noel Van Heusen.
Okay.
We were just like, we love WordPress. I wasn't a real big developer back then, but I was like, I love SEO. I love using WordPress. I love whenever I have a question, I can go out to this community, ask it, and we can kind of have this engaging conversation. And it wasn't go look at this tutorial. It was, hey, here's how.
Or hire me and I'll do it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Pay me some money and I'll do it for you. It was more of here's how I would approach it, and here's some different alternatives. And that's what kind of inspired me. WordPress is this open source, open community that was just very inviting back then, and it still is. But it's interesting how everything's kind of developed since then.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I want to know a little more about your background story. Because this is another traditional interview of the show, even though I'm going very tangentially to get there. I usually follow a more consistent format, but we're face to face today, and this is the first time I've ever done that, and I'm enjoying it. I'm letting it go a little bit more free, but we still can't get you off the show without understanding your background.
Okay.
So I don't know it really well. I don't know the full story. I know a little about where you are now and some of the things, but let's take back to the beginning, the genesis of your actual career.
Okay.
When you started to have a vision for your future, this is where Nate Driver wants to go. What's that first step that you took in that direction, and what was the path?
To be honest, it actually started from a hip hop website that I used to run.
For reals.
For reals.
Wow.
It was hiphopremix.com, which is long gone now. Some artist bought it, redirects it to their SoundCloud. But this was in 06, 07 time frame, and back then I didn't know WordPress. I knew Joomla, and God, it was terrible. It was just god awful. But at that time, I had 6 writers in the U.S. and U.K. and we just love the culture. We love artists, and at that time we just loved free music, free tickets to shows. It's like, hey, I'm 27, 26. This is cool.
Yeah.
And then it just got really popular really fast. And within the first 12, 14 months, we were nominated by VH1 Hip Hop Honors as one of the best urban culture-based websites.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Did you have to submit to be?
No.
They just picked you up?
Yeah, I got an email.
Okay.
It was right before, I was going on vacation with my wife, and we just had our first child a couple years. And we were going down to Tennessee, and they were, is this email real? And I did some searching, and I was like, oh, crap. It's from VH1, and all of a sudden I go to their website. It has, at that time, hiphopremix.com going against BET and all these. I was like, holy cow, this is awesome. This is great. I was like, there's no way I'm going to win. But then the wheels started turning, and talking about the vision, it was that instant where I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm getting 1 million visitors a month on my website.
Holy moly! Wow.
But I was like, holy, how are they coming to us? Because back then, Facebook, you couldn't get on at that time because of the EDU with Harvard and everything.
Yeah.
So it was just, we were doing MySpace back then. But it was a lot. We would go to these shows. We would talk to people. It was a lot of networking, word of mouth, marketing. But then all of a sudden, people were searching for these new artists that were coming up, and we were ranking. And so that's what got me intrigued to where I am today, where it was this kind of the mentality of digital search, of when people search for something, how does a site rank? How does it display the title, description, and how do you beat competition? And probably within 6 months after that nomination, within that time span, I actually migrated to WordPress, and I was like, holy crap, our visitors doubled. It was great numbers, but I wasn't making any money. So I had no idea what I was doing at that time.
Okay.
It was just like, I want to put out great content. And I had some good contacts, and I said I didn't make money. I made enough for hosting and, different things, but I want to know more about this search engine optimization.
Yeah.
It was those buzzwords back then that were just kind of gearing up really, really good. And so I started looking into WordPress more and more, and so I would create these niche affiliate websites.
Right. Okay.
And
right.
so I'd see these, I'd do these searches, and I'm like, I'd click on these results. I'm like, this content is terrible. It's bad. I'm like, their bounce rate has to be 80, 90%. And so then all of a sudden I go to I was one of those people that would go to the second page of results, and I'll go, oh my God, this is great content. And so what I would do is kind of manipulate websites, create them real fast, and spin it up with WordPress. And all of a sudden, I'm ranking now for that number 1, and I would just link back to the pages that were on number 2 and 3.
Wow.
And then I just do affiliate marketing and make money that way. and so that was my story. It was just kind of, it started there, and then I got that vision of, this is really cool. I want to understand the aspect of it. And, you can't fool Google. You can't, there's tricks that you can do, but in the long run, it never works. So it's just kind of looking at that and kind of understanding the basic principles.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I know that's a lot.
Yeah.
Long-winded story.
I mean, I got so many questions about it.
Yeah,
I'm super curious. You mess around with those sites. I mean, I had to play around time too, a little bit when I was in the early stages of learning this. I knew the basics. I was making websites, and I was learning how to SEO at an agency job, and then I had play sites on the side. Like, me and a friend were creating movie fan sites and putting AdSense on them, and just trying to see what would work, and learning about here's some underserved queries that look easy to rank for.
Yes.
People are searching for this, and here's some affiliate programs that pay out the nose.
Right.
Let's see if we can get people. And we made some pretty ridiculous sites for things that I would never put in my portfolio or admit to being associated with, and even made big mistakes, getting blacklisted from AdSense and stuff. Oh, whoops, screwed up.
Yeah.
Those sort of things. But it was a fun time. I actually learned a lot during that time, where you're trying to figure out the holes in the system.
Exactly.
It's kind of fun.
And at that time, you're probably trying to cheat it a little bit, but That's
Probably
how
not thinking
everybody
about
has
it
to
in
learn.
those terms.
No,
quite
you
so
weren't.
much,
But you were just like, how does that rank? I should be ranking better. I can write better content. I can optimize my images. I can optimize my website. And so it was just, I, I say hacking or black hat, but it's really you're doing the basic principles just better.
yeah. Yeah. I had so much fun with that. Sometimes I wish I could dig up like the old website that I made for the Hobbit movie
Oh, wow.
at one time, because I made some kind of cool stuff on it. It was really
Yeah.
engaging, and some Twitter accounts with lots of followers and stuff.
Nice.
That was fun. But like the hip hop site, I want to know a little bit about that. This was a side hustle. Were you like working during the day, and this was just
Yeah.
like a fun thing that grew?
Yeah, so there was a website back in 2004 through 6. It was Hip Hop DX. It was a hip hop website, and they had a message board. So I was very active on it, and I was like, "This is cool stuff. I like learning about it. Why can't I do it myself?"
Okay.
So I just set out and did it.
All right.
And so, but I was working actually at a outdoor advertising company, Lamar Billboards. And so on my lunch, I would go to the park, make a call to these artists, these multi-platinum artists, put them on speaker, have a recorder. 'Cause, iPhones weren't too big back then, or they were too expensive for me. And I would just interview these people. And they were very gracious. They were understanding. They were like, "Yeah, let's talk about this."
What? Like, how did you get in contact with these people?
Well, like I said, when I was active on this message board.
Oh, the message board. Right.
Yeah, so I would talk to these moderators. I'm like, "You guys are doing very well. I'm interested. I don't want to, be a direct competitor. I love what you're doing. I want to enhance it a little bit. I want to bring my own flavor to it."
Interesting.
And so they kind of set me up, where, "Oh yeah, this is how you want to kind of set up your distribution email to these record labels and managers, and here's how you can kind of track them down."
Wow.
And so I was able to find booking agents and managers and all these great people. I was like, and there's this one story that I love to tell. I'm working. I was the office manager and then a real estate manager for Lamar Billboards, and I was interviewing a hip hop artist at lunchtime. And it was about the time I go into, and I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to go call him on the conference room. We're good. All of a sudden, batteries went out of my recorder.
Oops.
I go out, I ask my boss if he has any batteries. He asked what I'm doing. Open communication. I tell him what I'm doing because he knew a little bit. He runs out and buys batteries for me.
What?
He comes back, and I finish my interview. He was okay with that at that time for me to pursue what I was interested in.
That's cool.
Because I was at that time, I was constantly trying to get more information. I was doing my job and then some.
Sure. Sounds like a good boss.
Oh, yeah, he was great.
Outdoor advertising. So were you doing that throughout your 20s?
I did that, God, for almost 10 years.
Okay, so pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, because at that time, I did the hip hop website. Then all of a sudden, I started my own media company, Driven Media Group. That's still kind of going on the side, but it kind of lets me learn more about the industry. And then I was also going to night school, and then I started managing artists as well. So I had an artist in Columbus and an artist in Atlanta at that time.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a short-lived, because you're in your mid-20s, you're trying to do so much.
Yeah. And you have a family at this time.
Yeah. I had a young son at that time, and I was just like, oh, one of these things is going to pay off.
Is there a point where you're feeling like this stuff is working out at the wrong time in my life?
Yeah, exactly. But it made me realize the importance of the hustle, of you always want to learn more, at least for me, where I was just constantly up till 2 or 3 in the morning, learning about CSS and coding and SEO and analytics and, attributes, just trying to get more information. And then it's just trying to find that right path of what I was trying to do.
The hustle.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I've thought a little bit about that sort of thing too. And there's people that I've looked at who have achieved levels of success, which I aspire to
Right.
and respect. And some of them happen to be younger than me, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And sometimes I like, you wrestle with that a little
Yeah.
bit. Like, how,
Yeah.
your circumstances are not that different from mine. How did you pull this off? And I haven't, or not to the degree that I think I have. These are just the things that we think about and struggle with.
Well, yeah, and I look at, I have a 13-year-old son now, and I'm like, dude, you could be doing Twitch TV, live streaming on YouTube because he's great at video games. I'm like, and he loves to talk about it, and he wants to learn, and he's a great drawer. I'm like, when we were that age, we didn't have this technology.
Right.
So when I look at these younger people that have, are very successful, I'm like, they grew up with it. I don't know about you, but I had that old dial-up, trying to get on the internet and my first site was GeoCities.
Right.
And just trying to code
Yeah.
and the HTML and the GIF, So I try not to be too envious when I look at younger people, but I'm like, that's awesome that they're able to do it.
That's cool. Yeah, you have a good attitude about that.
I try
sort of thing.
to. I do go, oh man, I wish I could, but I'm happy where I'm at now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that I think a little bit about because I think I for some reason my brain needs to understand this, like how
Right.
what was different about the path that I walked. When I think like walking another path, I could have had something different. I don't know. I'm being too vague, I guess, but I think I got married really young, and focused on that, focused on like my personal family life, and there was never a period in my life where I had like the hustle. Some of the people that I know, were like, well, we just that was a couple year period where I was like working all through the night, just like living on Red Bull,
Right,
and,
right.
and coding like crazy with my friends in a dorm room or something.
Yeah.
And that was when I invented this awesome product that took off, and now I'm running a 7-figure business. And I'm like, oh well, I didn't do that. I've just been coming home at 5 since I was 20.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. It's just different priorities, and it's as long as you're happy. And it took me a long time to find that.
Yeah.
Because I was doing that up all night. Oh, how can I make money, or how can I find this, success? And the whole time it was right in front of me, and I just felt so bad. And it wasn't a aha moment. It was just like nothing's really working out. Where am I most happy with?
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so you found it. I mean,
Yeah.
what's the path to you figuring this out?
Well, it's basically, for me personally, it's prioritizing my time. Before I would work, the normal 8 to 5, and then, hey, go home real quick for dinner, and then jump on the phone, jump online, start developing websites, cold calls, emails. I wasn't spending any time with my family.
Yeah.
And it was just a bad time. And then it was just like, you know what? Once I spent more time with them, my emails after they went to bed, I would set a time for 2 hours. My calls, my coding, my SEO, all of a sudden it started getting better and better.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the quality of life.
Right.
And so, yeah, I didn't do the whole go to college and dorm room coding, Red Bull. I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life.
Sure.
Because I got married at a youngest age, 24, and had a child at 24. So
Yeah.
it was one of those things where it's just like, okay, well, I want to do better for my children. I want to have them show them something when you're passionate about it, to go for it, no matter what it is.
Yeah. You're like one of the happiest, most uplifting people I know, I think.
Well, it took a long time.
It seems like maybe strikingly, I mean, maybe we don't go that far back. It feels like we go far back, but it seems striking to me. Like I was poking fun at you yesterday about this at dinner, but just like it seems like you have kind of like figured things out a little bit.
A little bit.
Maybe you just seemed more like sarcastic or cynical in 2014.
Yeah.
But now, like, you are literally my favorite Twitter personality.
Oh,
Like, the greatest. Everybody follow at
what is it? Nate Driver.
Nate Driver. It's the best.
And again, it's you got to find your own journey, your own path, and just enjoy your own life. I mean, people enjoy Red Bull and coding and through till 4 a.m. I don't anymore. So I'm like, every so often I might get an idea of, hey, that's a good niche, and let me see who's in that field, and there's nobody. And there might be a month where I'll just go hardcore at it.
Yeah.
But it's never where I'm going to be where it was before, where it was get off work, go to Starbucks, go to the library, and just dive in. It's going to be, I'm going to optimize my time.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what you do now professionally.
Oh, okay.
You're a grown man. You're a dad. You go to work at a bank.
Yeah. So right now I'm a digital marketing specialist for a small community bank that based out of Sandusky, Ohio. I am actually kind of working remotely in Dayton. We have 3 branches down there, and it's a great company. They've been around since 1884.
Wow.
They are so invested in the community, and they brought me on because they never really they knew the importance of online, but they've never gotten to that point. They needed someone to kind of help guide them for best practices. Because before this, I was working at a news station for 3 years, and it was a great job, but it was so many hours, and it goes back to that hustle,
right,
where it was like, I need to get this job because then I'll be successful, and that was my first management position, and it was great, but God, I was happy at certain times.
Sure.
But 16, 18-hour days gets old real fast when you have family.
Right. Yeah, and it was those 3 years where I saw a lot less of you.
Yes, yeah, and that's where I kind of dropped out of the WordPress community because it was just so much. I needed to kind of focus on my responsibilities for my career, and that's where I was kind of focusing on the industry, not just the news, but just the SEO. And WordPress didn't take a back page to it because we were actually using WordPress for our website. And that's one of the reasons I got hired on, because I knew WordPress. And so it was interesting. It was a WordPress VIP, so it was just a different avenue for me to kind of experience.
Wow. Okay. So now you work for the bank, and you do there a little bit of the day-to-day, the web stuff, online.
Yeah, schema markup. I look, my overall, bottom line is I create strategy development for their digital platforms. So where are our opportunities? Where can we capitalize on conversions for, new accounts? All this banking terminology.
Sure. That's fun. So you really have to understand the whole sales process for a bank, which sounds tough.
It is. It was a different industry, but and that's what kind of drew me in. I didn't know anything about the news before I went into that industry, except for when I used to write, manage the hip hop website. And so it was just kind of, but I know digital. Everything has been always centered around this digital marketing. And so that's where I've kind of found my happiness, my peace. As long as I'm focused and centered around that, and I don't have to do sales or hard coding, I'm okay with that. I know where my strengths are. I'm going to capitalize on that.
Very nice. Actually, you worked for a bank for a few years.
Yeah.
Actually. So we got to learn a little bit about it. And it's such a special industry kind of.
Yeah.
It's a little weird. The sales cycle is long and tough, and and complicated,
Yeah.
and it's hugely
Yeah.
competitive, but differentiation is quite difficult.
Well, and I think it's just like any other business. It really comes down to the customer service. You know, the bank name, I want to push it out there, is Savista Bank. And when people don't know it. People don't, unless you're around the headquarters up in Sandusky. But if you go to Columbus or, Dayton, they've never heard of it.
Yeah.
But yet we've been around for over 100 years. That's
great.
And so it's once you get aggravated with your big bank, that's where we kind of come in and go, you're going to get the same person from when you open your account to when you refinance your house.
Yeah.
And that's what I admired about it.
It reminds me of the hosting industry a little bit.
Yeah.
In that it's highly fragmented right now. Like there's a huge number of players.
Yeah.
Incredible number of options. Even in a small town, you have so many choices
Right.
of where to put your money. And differentiation between them is a little bit hard. As a consumer with minimal education on what products and offerings there are at these financial institutions, it's quite difficult to figure out, to
Yeah.
weigh them against each other.
Right.
You don't have the education to understand their benefits, and it seems at times, in my experience with banking professionals going out in the community and trying to evangelize, a
Right,
little
yeah.
bit, it seems at times that like even they struggle with it.
Yeah.
Like I'll go to business networking groups and someone like, I'm here from such and such bank, and just want you to know that we have good rates and great service.
So if they start with rates, they're not, no.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And that's what kind of, my first question to them was always the why. If the management knows the why and it trickles down to the front line, then I think that helps understand the difference between our bank and any other bank out there.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think web hosts have a very similar struggle.
Yeah.
Just so many options, and we have great support and fast servers.
99% of uptime.
Well, it just so happens that they all say that.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Well, yeah, that's a tough market.
It is. I don't know if I would ever get into that field. It would be so tough.
You're in banking. Like,
It is,
do you
but
think banking is easier?
I do.
Really?
Because, banks are really, I look at it in three spheres. You have the big banks, the Chase, Fifth Thirds. These are multi-billion dollar.
Yeah.
Like tens of
Right.
hundreds of billions. Wells Fargo.
Right.
Then you have community banks and credit unions.
Sure. There's regional banks, really. They're kind of in between. I
Yeah,
guess.
but those aren't really, those are small players. And all of our banks are usually in rural areas, because what we do is we reinvest our own money and your money into the community.
Right.
We actually, you can't make, I'm not a loan officer. I don't claim to be one. But if it's, I've heard stories where we work with people. We make sure you don't get that same type of feel when you watch a commercial for Wells Fargo.
Right.
At least I know personally I don't.
Yeah.
So with hosting, it would kind of correlate.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, we'll get a similar pitch from like a small hosting company is like scrappy and like eager to fight for every customer and bend backwards for you, where the big hosts might not do that. And there's also a similar parallel in like the pains of switching.
Yes.
Like a customer migrating their site to another host, like maybe very hesitant to do that. Even if there's great compelling advantages to the other host, the pain of migrating is significant. It's a big deal. And
It is.
Maybe not so much with your money, but it can be. Like if you have a lot of things going on at a bank and you decide, I'm done with this place, I'm out, I want to go to that other place.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks.
Well, yeah, there's a process. There has to be that tipping point. Just like when you're fed up with either the customer service at the hosting provider or the bank, something has to break for you to want to switch. And when that happens, everything was leading up to it. There was leading factors that come to it.
Yeah. I went through migrations like that where enough of them to get to the point where I was like, oh man, this host has to screw up pretty royally for me to want to go
Yeah.
through this again
Yeah.
because the migration was very painful and like got so much work and I get nothing done during that process and things break and blah blah blah. And I don't want to leave. I want to find a place to stay.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to find a home.
Yeah, you really do.
And there's a few. That's why I always have a few hosting where I'm like, it's a little bit more expensive, but man, their customer service. That's always my first. It's not about the uptime. Well, it is, but
Yeah.
it's always that customer. If I'm having a problem, I want to be able to get an answer. I don't care if it's 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. or 2 a.m. I need an answer.
And that's the special thing that like you can overcome deficiencies in every other part, but
Yeah.
like you can win loyal, like eternally loyal customers if you provide that amazing service.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just direct to them, like make them believe that you care, and help them, and even if you're slower than the competitors.
Oh yeah.
And even if you
Oh,
go
yeah.
down, you own your mistakes, and if you just like have that good service.
Well, you make it up to them. You always make it right. Yeah, and then all of a sudden that customer becomes these, brand ambassadors. They become these evangelists for you. And all you've done is do what you've done with hopefully every other customer is just provide great customer service for your product or service.
Yeah, absolutely. What else is going on down in your local community?
We actually just got our WordPress meetup has a great new venue where we just had that WordCamp a couple months
down
ago.
at the library. Okay,
Yeah. So I guess that they have that scheduled out for the rest of the year.
awesome.
There's also a new WordPress meetup in Springfield in between Dayton, Columbus.
No kidding.
Yeah, so it's kind of sprouting. Everything's kind of
Springfield,
growing.
Ohio, right?
Yeah. It's just out there in the middle.
Right.
Their third meetup is at the end of this month that I'll be going out to.
Yeah.
I'm interested in hopefully just bringing new people in. I just want to grow.
I've been seeing a lot more meetups pop up lately.
Yeah.
I mean, Andy from Detroit was just talking about how, or maybe it was Eric. Like now there's one or two new in the Detroit area that have splintered off, like shortly following the WordCamp Detroit, which they revived this year.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was pretty exciting, like really sparking things in the community. The Lansing started one up. They haven't had one basically pretty much forever. So new ones are popping up here and there all over.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Have you heard rumors about the Toledo community starting a investigation into a WordCamp?
Oh, wow.
Anything can happen at this point.
Yeah, I was talking to someone earlier about Ohio WordCamp. Someone was in Toledo, and I said, we got the Kent, Columbus will have one, Dayton will have one, Cincinnati will have one.
Yeah.
Now just Cleveland and Toledo, man, just go gangbusters.
Yeah.
I like it. I like these little pockets that just have so much great information.
Oh, me
and
too.
great people.
Me too. I'm a big proponent of like many small
Yeah.
events.
But then I liked doing the Chicago.
Sure. Yep. I go to WordCamp US every year. It's a special experience. It's totally different. It's like almost not the same as this
I bet.
at all. But the many small ones is really great. I feel less pressure to have to attend them all. When there's only like 4 in a year, then I'm like, missing it is a big deal. Mm-hmm. But when there's 12,
Then
Yeah.
now I can kind of be a little bit decisive.
it's okay. I got a conflict. I'm not. It's not the end of the world, and they've probably seen me speak more times than they care to. Ohio seems to be special. Like I'm very fond of the WordPress community in Michigan.
Yeah.
I think Ohio has a powerful WordPress community. Like here, Michigan and Ohio are about like as good as it gets in this country that I've seen.
wow.
I
That's awesome to
believe
hear.
that. I believe that. There's a lot going on in Florida, but that's a big, heavily populated state.
Yeah.
Huge distances between the communities. There are pockets in California that are pretty strong and vibrant, but that's like its own country. It's so big compared to us. But like what we have going on here in Michigan and Ohio, I truly believe is pretty special. We have like the highest density of WordCamps in like the world, basically.
Yeah, when you look at it, and that's why next year it's going to be a great year. Just $20-$40 in a 2 or 3 hour drive.
It's crazy.
It's
yeah,
all- it-
when
it's-
Adam
it's
lived out in
great.
L.A., which is the most populated place in the country.
Yeah.
And we were adding up, like, he's like, how many WordCamps could I drive to? Reasonable driving distance in a year. And he came up with like 5 or 6 in a year. And I was like, well, I'm at 13. I think I had like 16 or something like that. Reasonable, same driving distance.
Yeah.
Like we're spoiled.
It is. It was funny, when I first started getting involved and going and speaking at WordCamps. I think it was North Canton, and I was talking with Dustin Hartzell,
Yep.
who's in Dayton,
Yep.
and I was talking to him up there, and he goes, I will drive maximum 5 hours to a WordCamp, and he goes, I can go to 18, 20 of them easy.
That's crazy.
And I was just like, that. I didn't even, and this was back in 15's time frame, and I'm like, I didn't even think about that. That's easy. That's a day trip. That's fun.
Yeah, it totally is. And there's something special about it because a lot of us do that, and now we have formed some pretty good relationships.
Yeah.
Like, we're kind of a family. Like when I go to Kent now, it's super special.
Right.
Like, I know all these people there, and they've seen me speak numerous times, and like have friends, and get to stay with them, and go to the same restaurants again year after year, and it's a real treat. And
Yeah.
and all of them come here to our state, and then down to Dayton. It is pretty special. Like we become a more tight knit community because we have these frequent opportunities. It's not like once or twice a year we bump into each other.
Right.
So forming closer bonds, I think, is pretty special.
Yeah.
I feel privileged to be a part of this area.
It took me a couple years to realize, just how special it kind of was. When Noel and I first started, we reached out to Columbus because they were the only Ohio WordCamp at that time back in the day, and we didn't know it would kind of hopefully spark all this, all these other ones, and we were just privileged to be a part of that.
Who would have thought that of all the major cities in Ohio, Kent is the one that can pull like most consistently, like pull off a pretty big WordCamp. The biggest one in the state of Ohio right now is Kent. Little Kent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great location. I haven't been able to go there since they moved from North Canton to Kent, but every time they have it, I'm always watching the Twitter feed, and I always see the videos, and it's just awesome.
They do a good job. And I don't know. There's a very weak correlation between city size and WordCamp size or WordCamp health, I guess. Like consistency of pulling it off. Which I don't know what it is. I guess it's just got to be about the organizing team, just by chance. Like if
I think so. Yeah. Well, I think that's a huge factor, and I think it just goes into the community that they've built up to that WordCamp. Because if you're just if it's stale, you're not going to have a great turnout. You're not going to have great engagement. But if you've kept that that fire kindling the whole leading up to that WordCamp, then it's going to be a great one.
Right. Are you still into hip hop?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a big Logic, Kendrick fan. So yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What is it? KF. I listen to. Yeah.
Okay. I've been trying to. I'm getting into it a little more lately.
Yeah.
Lately, I go through musical phases. Lots of us do.
Oh yeah.
A phase. It's a thing that we do. And I watched. Have you seen the David Letterman Netflix special?
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I love it.
Yeah, the one where he talked to Jay-Z was super cool. So I saw that and realized, you know what? I actually haven't listened to that much Jay-Z before. So I went started pulling up some Jay-Z. I watched the Straight Outta Compton movie.
Oh yeah.
What did you
It's
think
a
of
great
that?
one. It's great.
I like that
loved
movie.
it. I saw it opening weekend, and I fell in love.
Yeah,
It was just great.
Yeah, where did they find that somebody who looked that much like Ice Cube? I'm just kidding.
His family.
Yeah, but we didn't know until the credits.
Yeah. And he's actually just starred in a couple other movies. He's a great actor.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that movie. And then after that, I was like, okay, I gotta listen a little more to NWA and check this out.
Yep.
It's good stuff. But something else, I don't remember what, but got me into some of the new stuff. Like, so I've been checking out Drake, and I've been checking
Yeah.
out like a few of these new artists, the Miggies and so on. And it's good. There's some really good stuff.
Yeah. You just have to find what you like. There's all these. I mean, I love music now because back then, the Drake wouldn't have been as popular.
Really.
Yeah, it just he found his niche. It was at that time it was needed.
Yeah. I was really big into hip hop for a brief period when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So the early 2000s. I knew everything by Ludacris and Nelly and
Yeah.
Rule. And, that was a funny time, I suppose. And of course, everything by our local boy, that Marshall fellow.
Oh yeah. I've heard about him.
Yeah, you've heard about it. Yeah, pretty special. Anyway, so I'm fascinated by the scene, and I'm trying to learn a little bit more about it. So, like, what do you recommend? So, somebody like me, I want to find the good stuff. I want to learn and appreciate it. Is there like a useful website that they can educate me, or a podcast that I can learn about, or some artists that you just like? You got to put this on your playlist and you'll understand.
I have Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So they have a music app that you can download.
Yeah.
And you just pick an artist and they create that channel, just like with Spotify and
Right.
every other one. But it's always Logic. I don't know what it is about it. I like his voice, his message. And then from there, I get Kendrick, Hobson. It's a good one. There's a new guy, white guy. His name is Token.
Token, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and he raps really fast.
Okay.
But he's
fun.
really good.
Okay.
So I mean, it's. But then there's some songs like Post Malone that I like.
Yeah.
But but some people don't like that, and some people like the 6ix9ine guy. All these different ones that are out there, and I'm like, well, like who you like. I don't really care.
Did you ever do any music yourself? Make anything?
It's funny you mention that. Well, I was a big writer. When I was in my teenage years, I'd write poetry and then lyrics and songs. And then I got into church. I actually rapped very brief time period in the Christian field. Did a radio station, freestyle, and then that's what kind of got me, you know what? I'm not that good in front of a mic. Let me be behind the scenes a little bit more.
Wow.
And that's what kind of sparked the interest with new artists.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably the biggest one was, I don't know if you've ever heard of Brother Ali.
Brother Ali. That sounds familiar.
I highly suggest just looking up his old stuff.
Okay.
But I got to interview him years ago with Rakim. He was on a show down in Cincinnati, and it was just, he was up and coming. And I got to just break bread with him and talk to him.
Wow. Okay.
So just where I started, I just, as a kid in high school, writing poetry and lyrics, to hip-hop website, to search engine optimization, digital marketer. It's been a long road, but it's been a great, I wouldn't change it for anything.
Wow. Inspiring story. I want to. We're running towards the end of our time, and this day, this WordCamp is almost done. We're going to catch closing remarks here momentarily, and then start the cleanup process and go to a rockin' after party.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. A couple final questions for you, Nate. Do you have you have anything else on your schedule where somebody might bump into you in the future?
I don't.
All right.
Things always change. I think it was only 4 weeks ago that we reached out to each other about this WordCamp.
Right.
And I was like, yeah. All of a sudden, my wife had the wrong week. She thought it was next week. So,
Whoops.
it's I'm always looking for other opportunities I don't even want to speak, just to meet and learn new things.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if you're in Dayton, Southwest Ohio, or online, just, hey, I'll do a phone chat. We can talk, geek out.
I encourage you to do that,
Yeah.
listener. because Nate is quite the charmer and a lot of fun to hang out with. Always good, and a great memory. He's always got the best little jokes that are between us, and always get me perfectly. Do you have any guest suggestions of people that I need to interview in this show in the future?
Ooh, jeez. Yeah. You should have let me know that you were going to ask that beforehand so I could think.
Everybody.
I mean, because you've had a speaker on every week, so it's. I don't know who would.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to think about that one.
I catch a lot of people off guard with that question.
Yeah, that's a good one though.
I've asked it at the end of literally every episode of the show.
But it's one where you have to think back because you don't want to say, oh, talk to so and so. Oh, you already did.
Yeah,
okay, never
yeah,
mind.
that's happened.
Yeah, exactly. So
point.
I don't want to give those redundancies, but I think just go to the next WordCamp you go to, and they ask the question, any new people?
Yeah.
Talk to them. Do a podcast. There's a guy I met earlier today. Just got him started on WordPress.com.
Right.
And he was so appreciative. I'm like, I haven't been on WordPress.com in probably 4 years. Because I've always been using .org,
Yeah.
creating my own stuff. And so it was just having someone like that, just someone that's just new to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be open up some ears.
Right. Awesome. Nate, this has been a fun conversation.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So thank you for being on the show. Wave to the camera. All right. Cheers.